Once you get to 70% and 80%, we have to move forward. We can get out of the cave, and it will end when we start getting to 70% and 80%. And if not at 70 and 80%, then when?
So here's an even bigger question. What happens if Australia doesn't get to 70 or 80% of the eligible population vaccinated at all, or at least any time soon? It's the sort of question the Prime Minister would likely dismiss as a hypothetical. But to understand the raw politics of COVID-19 as it stands this week, let's consider the details of these targets.
States and territories move into the next phase when 1, the national average for the vaccination program as a percentage of eligible adults is achieved nationally, and then that state itself has achieved the vaccination threshold in their own state. So it's like a two-key process.
That's right. Each state and territory, as well as the national average, has to be at those levels. That means even when the fastest states have reached the targets, they will have to wait for the national average to catch up, weighed down by the slowest states.
I want Australia to get to Christmas, but I want everybody around that table at Christmas time.
That's starting to look like a tight finish. A Guardian Australia data analysis shows the slowest state, Queensland, hitting 80% just a week before Christmas and 70% in late November. That's about 2 weeks behind WA, South Australia and the Northern Territory, and 2.5 months behind the fastest, the ACT. Those figures are based on current vaccination rates, so they assume Australia escapes the phenomenon seen in many other countries that, at a certain point, demand for vaccines drops away as hesitancy and other factors cut in. In the past few days, we have seen a Prime Minister under intense pressure throw everything he has, including his own future, on the idea that he holds the key to the way out of the increasing frustration, anger and fear people feel in extended lockdowns in South East Australia.
The national plan is our deal with all Australians, and we are hastening towards the dawn.
The Prime Minister is careful with his language, since he doesn't want to look like he is attacking the citizens of any particular state. But his clear political attack is that it is federal Labor, as a natural ally of the Labor states, which is standing in the way.
G'day, Ollie, and g'day to everyone in WA.
When you talk about those who are trying to undermine the national plan and that their motives are clear, are you talking about Mark McGowan?
I'm talking about Anthony Albanese.
Is it incumbent as Labor leader for you to get the message to those Labor states to come on board as part of the national project once 70% and certainly 80% is reached?
Well, they are on board and they've done a fantastic job. I find it quite extraordinary that the Prime Minister has basically described West Australians and Queenslanders as somehow being cave people, wanting to stay in the cave.
And then there's the combustive politics of what happens if kids get sick. The data to date shows that while more young children are catching the Delta variant, their rates of serious illness and death are very low. But at a political level, that isn't much comfort to anxious parents, aware that even if they can get vaccinated, their kids can still catch the virus, no matter how stressed they may be about the considerable impact of lockdowns on the young. Vaccine politics is also changing here too, to an issue of generational equity as well as equity with disadvantaged groups. The federal government has in recent weeks dropped the minimum age for eligibility for the vaccine down from 39 to 16, giving it a much-needed retort to critics of the program. But the Pfizer vaccine is still in short supply, the only vaccine approved for children aged 16 to 18. It's only recently been made available to 18 to 39-year-olds, though they can opt into the plentiful AstraZeneca. The Victorian vaccine booking system crashed today when the state opened up Pfizer appointments for anyone over 16. And then there are other shocking equity issues, the groups who are supposed to be prioritised but are still way behind the general population. COVID has now hit Indigenous communities in Western New South Wales with a vengeance. At least 5% of the population of Wilcannia now has caught COVID, and the closest ICU beds are the 5 at Broken Hill, 2 hours away. And the vaccination rate in the area is less than half the state average, at just 13% of those over 16 double-dosed. Having nailed his colours so comprehensively to the latest targets in the long battle against COVID, Scott Morrison has to hope that they are achieved. He needs to shift people's focus from blaming him for the problems in the vaccine rollout to blaming the states for stopping us resuming our normal lives. But on current trajectories, he could find himself by year's end in a fight with the two states he least wants to be fighting with, Western Australia and Queensland, which both gave their closed border-loving premiers resounding wins at recent elections.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.